Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Person Behind the Pen. I'm not wearing green today for St. Patrick's Day, but it looks like my QR code is green, so I would say we're celebrating. Believe it or not, I'm going to share a quick story with you about St. Patrick's Day. I am originally from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, so it's not a holiday that I am used to celebrating. However, a long time ago, when I met my husband and we were dating, we went to Pennsylvania to visit an uncle of his. We ended up walking around the town during the St. Patrick's Day parade. Um, and of course, I wore the most uncomfortable shoes. And it was still freezing at that time of the year. Well, I had to eventually take my boots off. And yes, I walked around the town in stockings. Well, actually, no. My mother-in-law had on 2 pair of socks, so thank God, because she took one off and gave it to me. But today I was just scrolling pictures and I came across that and I thought, wow, the things that women do sometimes. Well, me, at least, because I had to look good. But oh my God, what a disaster. I was freezing. But you know what? I was with my boyfriend. I didn't care. And today he's my husband. So I guess it turned out all well and good. I have to say hello to everyone that's tuning in. But before I do that, I want to say welcome to the person behind the pen, to Rebecca Strobl. She is our guest today, and I am so excited to have her. If this is your first time joining the person behind the pen, we are not here just about books. We are here about people. Why? No people, no stories, no stories, no books. And this show is all about the people who write the books, people like you and me, with stories to share. I want to also share what's happening with Guiding Brilliant Writers, and probably the most exciting thing is on March 27th, the release of the Transformation Kitchen cookbook, and we are going to be having a launch day party on Friday the 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern. That is going to post tomorrow. Make sure you look out for it. And one lucky person is going to win a ticket to the virtual event the following day, Cooking Up Jane's second annual fundraiser in New York City. And yes, I will be there. Jason will be there. And so many friends will be there. This is going to be so much fun. Okay. What else is coming down the pike for Guiding Brilliant Writers? Well, how much time you got? I'm just kidding. We are now publishing to Ingram Sparks. We are so excited to say that we have expanded our services to global distribution. Please reach out if you would like to know more. And of course, we are a turnkey service. Everything from your book cover to formatting to editing, promotion, and publishing. But we can help you with any part of the process. So please reach out if you would like some help. Okay. Last thing, Between the Bells. Oh, goodness. I have mentioned this. Between the Bells is an anthology that's coming in June. And this one is written by a dozen high school students. I am really excited for this project. It's something different than I have worked on. And the opportunity to work with young people who do like writing, but that I get to perhaps shape a little bit of what they might choose to do in the future with their writing skills is a big blessing. And so please keep an eye out for more of that, because that's going to be coming. All right, so let me get started with inviting our guest, Rebecca, up. I'm going to share a little bit about Rebecca, not without these. All right, let's go. Rebecca Strobl is a certified protection professional, licensed EMT intermediate, Health and Safety Institute instructor, retired volunteer fire chief, youth advisor, and holds a Bachelor of Science degree. She has several decades of experience in new business development, client retention, employee engagement, training, team building, and motivational speaking. She has captured audiences worldwide with her ability to weave knowledge, enthusiasm, and humor together in an engaging manner. Each keynote displays her enthusiasm for equipping others to thrive. Her passion lies in inspiring others to embrace learning, personal growth, and a new day of hope. Please help me welcome to the stage Rebecca Strobl. Okay, I you back off
Hello.
again. I'm sorry. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? It's so good to see you and finally talk with you live instead of
Yes,
just
it is
LinkedIn messages.
right. It is so good to see you. And we I didn't realize we were just chatting backstage that you may not have made today, and I'm so glad that you did. I know that you're just coming back from the hospital, that your husband is there.
Yes.
So I want to let you know I have an incredible audience. They
Aw.
are without a doubt the most supportive people that I know. And I don't just mean that they come to my shows and, they share my posts and stuff like that. But many, many of these people I am friends with offline, I have met in person. So I am highlighting some of the comments here because I want you to see how many people are here to celebrate with you today and to hear some of your beautiful poetry reading. So tell me, why is your husband, I mean, if you want to share at least, because I didn't realize that you would be coming here directly from the hospital.
Yeah, so this is like we were chatting about backstage. It's been a journey. Basically, there's been some signs for over the years. Last September, we celebrated 25 years of marriage. And thank you. So there's been some signs, but this really all his current health journey started last September in Canada when we were on vacation and he was hospitalized. And I had flown home and he was going to do a guy's trip. And then next thing you know, I get a call and I have to figure out how to get my husband out of a foreign hospital
Wow.
because he was having heart troubles and he felt like he was taking his last breath. So miraculously, I got him out of there, got him home. He started recovering. And then in December of 2024, doctors here told him because he still was having a hard time breathing and just was swelling up. And next thing you know, I became a wound care nurse for him for over 5 months until I could get him proper care. I was the caregiver and the nurse and the doctor, but in that December, doctors told him he would never see his next birthday, July of last year, that he had 24 hours or 5 days to live. And he pulled out of that. And then he got sick again in April and pulled out of that. And just over 10 days ago now, I took him to the hospital and he was on death's door again. So he's recovering. We still have a long ways to go. So yeah, so I left him and I'm like, I gotta go make my podcast. So he gave me a big hug and kiss and told me go get him. And so yeah, so super grateful to be here and glad he's still on this side of the world, you know?
So much love, blessings, and prayers this way. And, when you visit him, you would hopefully show him a little bit of this and he can see all the people that are out here cheering for him. To be given 24 hours to live, I couldn't imagine being in that position. And he not only has gone more than a year past that, but he was also here to celebrate 25 years of marriage, which is just incredible. I can't say that in present day, very many marriages are making it that far. So it is certainly a shining example. And given what you're going through as well medically, what loyalty and trust and togetherness and love for each other can really accomplish 25 wonderful years together. So, oh my goodness, I want to make sure that you are seeing some of the comments that are coming up,
Oh,
but I'm sure you will go back and see them after the show. All right, so I kind of want to dive right in. We're going to run a 45-minute show today, and I prepared some questions. And probably, like, I could just thirst through this question out. When you shared with me that you're a retired volunteer fire chief, I'm like, Oh, okay. And then I see the picture and I'm like, this little thing, like, all dolled up. And she's like in a uniform and everything. And I'm like, standing next to this fire truck. And I'm like, okay, she's the, the chief. Did you always know, like, from a child that you wanted to be a fireman? And I asked because, some people are like, from five, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to do this. I want to do that. I was never that person. Like, so did you know this in your heart as a child?
No clue. Actually, the 5-year-old version of myself wanted to be a medical missionary. I wanted to go to the other side of the world and just go to a village and start a clinic and start helping people and, help them, save them, medically, but then also give them hope. And so the whole fire thing came because I'm the type of person, as you've seen it through reading some of my book and the stories behind the poems, that I've been the type, whenever I've seen a need, even when I was a little kid, if I saw a need, I felt like I was seeing it because I had gifts to fix it. And so I would just jump in and start meeting the need. So the whole fire department came because while I was in physical security, because I've been selling security guard contracts for over 20 years and running sales teams, that's where the CPP part, my security industry hat. So while I was doing that professional career to, provide for my family, we met some volunteer firefighters in our community. And they said that there was a need, that the county fire department had a slow response in our neighborhood up here in the mountains north of Atlanta, Georgia. And my husband and I looked at each other. He's a chiropractor. Before I got into security, I had become a certified nurse's aide. I was a cardiac tech. I had worked in hospitals. And so we're like, well, we have some medical knowledge, so why not? And so then next thing you know, the county fire department had this great deal that if you give up 8 months of your life, nights and weekends, 2 nights a week, 4 hours at a time, and then 8 hours on Saturday, they'd put you through EMT school and fire school for free. So I thought to myself, well, I'm all about learning. I don't know where life's going to take me, but more importantly, I literally just taught a CPR class for healthcare providers this morning at an assisted living facility. And I was telling them that, I would go to people's houses when I first joined the volunteer fire department, and I'd have a t-shirt that said volunteer, and they're looking at me to know what to do. And I knew a lot about emergency medicine, and I knew nothing about cutting somebody out of a car or fighting a fire. It
Oh,
did not
that is so funny.
matter if I just had a t-shirt. It didn't matter if the fire truck was behind me. They expected me to fix it. So when the county gave that opportunity, I'm like, I'm going to know what to do. So female or not, never been done in this department. I want to help people. So yeah, I went for it. And so then I went full blown fire mode, and I used all my vacation time and my sick time and my personal time, and I'd worked extra hours so I could go to more classes so I would know. And yeah, and then after getting involved with the department and being promoted to the lieutenant of training, or one night our volunteer fire chief stormed out of the firehouse and said, I'm done, because the county was making plans to eventually wipe us all out in the county, and he didn't want to deal with it. And so they're like, all the male firefighters, because at this point I already had all my training and certifications, they're all standing around, only female. And what are we going to do? So I raised my hand, not having
Oh,
any clue how I was going to find time, because I was already doing a full-time corporate security sales job, working a 50-plus-hour week. But I'm like, we need to get back and focus on the community. And we have two choices. We are eventually going to be shut down, but we have resources, and we need to make sure that as that transition happens, our community still has access to these resources, and the county is prepared to really care for them like we do. So we could just bury our hands in the sand and be all grumpy, or we can be part of the change. So I raised my hand and said, I want to be part of the change. Let's go. And all the men voted for me. And
be part of the change. I love
realized
it.
that I didn't realize it was so historical. I mean, I knew within the department, but then like within a couple weeks, I was getting interviewed by local media. And then I got a letter from a congressman congratulating me on being the first female fire chief in the county. So I just think it's sort of hilarious. Wasn't anything I planned on. I just saw a need, and I'm like, okay, I'll get the big free job,
Good for you. Oh my goodness. So you know, when you think about it and the direction that your life went, and in the beginning, you already knew you wanted to be of service to people, right?
Yes.
And your life just took that course. All the various things that you worked in and all the accreditations you accumulated kind of led to all of this. Um,
Yeah.
and it isn't everybody that would say, you know what, my life is full. I have a family, I got all this going on with my career. Yes, I see a need, but I don't know if I could fill this need as well. But you found the time to do it. And now look at where you are. Look at what you have accomplished. Look at the precedents you have set for other young women. Now, not just in your county, but anywhere in the world that hears your story. So thank you for sharing that um, part of your journey with us. So I don't know if you guys read the details of the show, but one of the reasons we're here today, other than to meet this phenomenal woman, is to share about her book, New Day Inspirations. And I bring a lot of authors on and we talk about their books. But when I got this book and Rebecca mailed me a copy, very kind of her, um, and I saw a poetry journey, and I opened this book and I started to see the way it was laid out. There's tons of poetry in here, but her journey is also documented in here. And there are a lot of pictures. And the way it's broken down, there's careers, there's family, there's hope, there's faith. So if there's something in particular that you are going through in your life and you want some inspiration, and not just in the sense of an entire book on someone's life, but you know, a short poetic piece. It is beautiful. I have been reading it bit by bit and enjoying it. Sometimes I just open the book to anywhere. Um, so I guess that kind of leads me into your next question. Is poetry something that's always been part of your life? Because I don't want to go back to childhood again and be like, um, but have you always loved? Did it just happen? How did this all happen? Like, do you just love to write, or it's just poetry that you like to write?
Actually, it all started when I was 17 and I had gone to Jamaica to on a mission trip. There was 30 of us teenagers and I was the oldest of 17 and we were there to build a water tank for a deaf school. And the there was no clean water, so we were drinking the water that everybody else was drinking. So needless to say, I became very, very ill and I cried out to God to please save me and not let me die in Jamaica. He did. I'm talking to you. So that very first poem I ever wrote was on a scrap piece of paper, and actually that piece of paper is yellow now because it's so old. But I just wrote that poem, "The Eyes of Jesus," basically asking God to please help me, and He did. And so then when I got home, there was a lot of other challenges in my life, personally, family related. And so I started writing more poems where I would be in a really a down place or I would see other people struggling. But at first, I started writing more poems to encourage myself. But then I would see somebody else struggling or a friend, and I would get a card for them. And I still do this today. In fact, like I have at least 10 people when I get off this tonight, I'm going to write them cards and create a new poem for them because they're on my heart. Where I would think about somebody and I would write a card and I would just write a poem for them. And I started saving those poems. And
Wow.
and so literally the very first poem I wrote was in 1993. So I have been writing poems since 1993 and I've saved quite a bit of them. And then other ones just went out into the world. I wrote it, I put it in a card, put the stamp on, or I just handed it to somebody and I never saw the poem again because it was just written in that moment for them. So some of them I saved, and over the decades, people would come back to me and I'd see them years later and they'd say, I still have your card because I read that poem over and over. And in 2024, not knowing what was going to happen with my husband at the beginning of the year, I thought our world needs more hope and encouragement. And if these individuals over the decades have been encouraged by one poem and they've shared it with others, how
Yes.
much
Yes.
more, how many more people could be encouraged and blessed if I just jumped off the cliff again, trainer, firefighter, security specialist. I don't know anything about publishing, but how many more people could be encouraged and lifted up if I just jumped off the cliff and took a risk and shared my poems with the world? So here we are.
Well, I want to say that ripple effect, but considering that you are a retired fire chief, I am going to say you jumped off the cliff, you dropped and rolled, you did not put the fire out, obviously, because the sparks went flying and now everything's ablaze with your energy, with the service you put out there. I mean, at 17, you were in another country helping to build something for fresh water. So
Yes.
that speaks to who you are from day one. So my beautiful audience out there, if you look at the ticker running at the bottom of the screen, you will see the link, New Day Inspiration book.com, and you can get a copy of the book there for yourself. Um, I will not have the show without having a live reading of a poem or two. So I asked Rebecca, I handpicked the poems that I would like for her to read to us because I felt that LinkedIn, which is the platform that I'm most on, is very professional, and that's not very professional what I just did blocking us out, but I wanted to put this up. Um, and so this poem is called Leaders. And, I feel that each of us is a leader in our own way. And we get up every single morning, and the first person we lead is ourselves. Um, so, Rebecca, please, bless us with a reading of your poem, Leaders.
Oh, absolutely. So here we go. Leaders. Leaders are forged in life's most challenging fires, often in the pursuit of helping others set aside their personal desires. Compassion and courage shine as their currency when called upon to serve their communities in times of urgency. They tackle life's challenges with professionalism and calm, so others can be inspired in life's storms to choose calm. They clothe themselves with humility and honor and become the true heroes of the hour. They often risk their own lives so others can survive and thrive. They motivate and equip others to exceed their abilities so these individuals can fully realize their amazing capabilities. They never seek greatness or glory and let the goodness they generate to those around them be their story. Choose to be this leader every day and help others experience their new day.
That was beautiful. And now, of course, you guys can tell why it is I fell in love with that poem because there's so much packed in there, right? And the humility, yes. The honor, yes. But there was the end there where you said, let the work you do speak for itself and let that be your story. And of course, I'm all about telling stories. But stories don't necessarily need to be told verbally or written, but is shown every day through our actions.
Mhm.
Our actions and showing up the way that we do builds a story about the character in the mind of another. Right? I think of that of so many of the people that I hear, um, and the way that I see them show up, and that if I had to write a story about each one of them right now, I probably could put something together, at least a page. So thank you for sharing that with us. I would love to know in the comments if anyone out there considers themselves a poetry writer, and if you have something short, 4 sentences, or if you want to just do one on the spot, because I love doing stuff like that, go right on ahead. Maybe do it about this show. Okay, so in terms of your writing, what was the reaction of, you know, of course I want to say everybody, right? Your family, your husband, but I want to ask, of course, what was the reaction of your coworkers? Like, were they supportive? Were they like, "Oh my God, you're gonna like write a book? Really? You like poetry?" Like, you know, did anybody read the book from your side? What was the reaction?
Yeah, actually, it was more like the shock. Like a lot of my security colleagues and even the firefighters, they had no idea that I was a writer and that I was a poet. So unless they had received a card from me in the past, then they really didn't know. So they were all relatively supportive once they found out, but best definitely surprised. Like they just had a hard time seeing me in that light. But then once they knew that I had written a book, they were super supportive and bought it. And then a lot of my security colleagues, especially, started putting it all over LinkedIn, how encouraged they were. And I think the most amazing thing to me and humbling was when I've spent over 20 years in security sales selling security guard contracts. So to me, the most precious thing was when so many individuals and leaders from the companies that I competed against in sales, executives from their companies bought my book. When I reached out to them and they
Wow.
found out I bought a book, they bought it. And then they posted on LinkedIn about my book or like wrote me a review and are like, hey, you need to hire Rebecca as a speaker. And I just think that what a beautiful thing to happen and what a true picture of part of my mission in my head of why I wanted to get this out, because I wanted a place where people could go and be drawn together and put down all the barriers and us just be human together and encourage each other. So that was such a precious moment to me.
Oh my gosh, in so many ways. And you know, I'm just gonna take the elevator industry because I used to work there. So you always think of competition, right? But that competition within the industry of the actual work is one thing. But we are people. And so that I
Yes.
just love that you did this and that they came out as people. And yes, I could see how they could be a little bit disbelieving in the beginning that really, like, it's just, so opposite to what you would
Yes.
expect. And I love that they supported you that way. I love that they came around and they rallied and they shared about it. At the end of the day, you're always in the industry of protecting people. So I do apologize. That's my doggy growling if you hear him. So I am going to take a quick moment to play the short video that I played at the beginning. So please grab your phones out. The last slide has a QR code where you could go and buy a copy of Rebecca's book. I highly recommend the book. Of course, I highly recommend all the books for the authors I bring on here. But spring is around the corner, and it is such a beautiful short read. Um, you just need a couple minutes, especially for somebody like me who's a solopreneur, just bouncing all over the place, just taking a couple of minutes, a sip of coffee, and sitting outside and reading 8 lines of a poem. I can't tell you what this has been doing for my mental capacity. So I'm going to go ahead and play this short video. Rebecca, watch the pictures because you sent me some, but I stole these off of like your social media because I'm such a troll. She's probably like, I didn't send those pictures, but
That's great.
because I
Thank you.
wanted to be able to talk about some of them. I thought they were so interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. All right, guys. So let's support Rebecca and let's grab a copy of her book out there. Okay, so I want to know about the picture with the kids because those are all little kids in front, right?
Yeah. So what that is when really cool. So the volunteer fire department, the firefighters voted me as their chief, and then the board of directors basically had to confirm it. So they did. And so then once I started getting all these interviews and realized I made history, I had reached out to the county fire chief, and he said, I want to do a pinning ceremony. I want to recognize you as a fire chief, especially since you're the first female. And I'm like, okay. And so another hat I've worn and I still wear amongst all this is I'm a advisor for the county fire department's youth program. So it's for 14 to 21-year-olds, and we basically expose them to the fire service. We give them turnout gear. We teach them all about the fire service. And they had formed an honor guard, which the county fire department, when there's funerals or when there's special events, is they basically like present the flag and those kind of things. And so when I knew that the county fire chief wanted to do this program, he's like, well, we'll have the county fire department honor guard present the flag. And I said, no, I don't want your county firefighters to do the honor guard and do the flag at my pinning ceremony. I want the explorers to do it. And of course, the county fire chief was like, this is a big deal. Like the 15-year-olds. And I said, yes, because they are very much part of my life. They're part of my journey. I mean, at this point, I had been advisor over a decade, and he goes, well, they better be perfect. I'm like, they'll be perfect, because I'll let
Who
them know.
cares if they're perfect? You are building the next generations of people. You are showing them that there are things that they can do other than, right, what we all want our kids, seem to want our kids to grow up to be doctors and lawyers and everything else. But this is community, this is service, this is camaraderie, this is so much, and it's volunteer. And it's like, I love it. I love that you did that. It's like you didn't just take a step for yourself to break molds and do what you wanted to do for you. But along the way, you brought so many people with you, including these 15-year-olds. And I'm sorry, I wanted to stop and say that. I think that's amazing. Okay, sorry. I threw it out there.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job. I mean, literally, my community and my entire community showed up. I had other fire chiefs from other counties and everybody. I mean, I can remember one of the people that was one of my firefighters that was a little crusty, that he voted for me to be chief, but he really wasn't necessarily feeling it. So I remember when him and my husband were setting up the chairs for that pinning ceremony, he's just like, why are we setting up all these blankety blank chairs? We're not going to have any more than like 20 people. Well, the whole room was full, and it was at our clubhouse. The next room was full. The hallway was full. And when the county fire chief and the county assistant fire chief, when they arrived, they had to wait outside because so many people of the community were in line trying to hug me and greet me and say congratulations, that they literally stood outside for 10 minutes. And that was the first and last time that county fire chief ever came to an event where he wasn't just everybody parted and he was made the center of attention.
I've died. Crusty and blankety blank. I love it. I'm going to start using blankety blank because sometimes I do want to blankety blank when I'm live. And apparently that doesn't seem very professional. Whatever. Anyway. What a wonderful story. I just, breaking molds.
Yep. And those explorers, when they came to my volunteer fire department, that fire station, to prepare, and they got all their formal, uniforms on that you saw in the picture. And when they realized, they're like, Chief Strobl, how many people are going to be there? And I'm like, what? It could be this many. It could be more. And when they got to the clubhouse and they saw those people, their little eyes were like all big, like, oh my God. And I'm like, you guys got this. Just pretend, how you've been practicing, you got it. And they did great. So I was so proud.
It takes a woman to be able to keep the calm. I love it. Anyway, so I don't know, the time is just flying here. And there's more I want to get into, and I definitely want. There's another poem that I would like it to read that I just loved, but and completely different than Leader. So you have to understand the diversity of poetry in this book, the different types of things she's talking about. Um, Talk to me a little bit about, because we talked about this a little bit before. Your section of the book on faith, and threaded throughout the book, it's unmistakable that you have a very strong one. Um, and so you refer to Jesus, you refer to He, God, Savior, and stuff like that. Um, and I love the way it came over. And I say that because I, for example, I'm Roman Catholic, right? So there was a time in my life that I was very heavy into church and singing in choir, helping youth group and stuff like that. Not as much now. Um, so how do you like? Because you kept to it in your poetry without becoming religious, if that makes any sense. And therefore, I could see how anybody reading it would be able to enjoy, as well as respect, as well as draw from the fact that you are faith-based without feeling prejudiced by a particular religion. So would you share a little bit about your faith with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I firmly believe that I follow the teachings of Jesus, and I wanted, when I wrote this book, knowing that I spent over 20 years in the security industry, knowing that, oh my goodness, it's over almost 20 years now in the fire service, and the people that I met, that not everybody is on a faith journey or has that perspective. I wanted to write a book where, again, I don't care who you are or what background you come from, you could find something to relate. And for me, faith is, there's so many times in my life, God, the God of the Bible that I believe in, and Jesus Christ, has showed up and he has saved me in more ways. The fact that I'm talking to you right now, he didn't let me die, not just in um full of disease in Jamaica. I mean, my parents tell me that when I was a year old, I had scarlet fever really bad, and the doctors told my parents that I probably wouldn't make it and they should buy a burial plot for me. And I can remember when my grandma died, that I got into a accident, and I was going to nursing school at the time, and I got a really bad concussion, and I couldn't walk, I couldn't hardly hear, I couldn't hardly see, because the part of my brain was affected. And I remember in the hospital, the doctors told me, because I was seeing like three of everything because of my vision. He said, you might as well quit college. You're never going to be able to return back to nursing school. You're not going to walk again. You're not going to see again. You're not going to hear again. The brain doesn't heal. And again, it's like I kept my faith and praying, believing in my heart that I hadn't been like saved, and so many things had happened just for me not to accomplish. And I remember telling the doctors, I said, that might be what you see, but I firmly believe that the God, the creator, whoever you want to call him, has a bigger purpose for me. And so when I miraculously recovered a month later and I went back to college, I actually wrote here we go. I wrote all those doctors a note, and I wrote them a little poem, thanking them for taking care of me, but letting them know that I'm still here and I'm returning to college.
I'm not laughing in a bad way, I swear. And I mean, I know that you do cards, and I love that you did this, and thanked them too,
Yes.
and wrote a piece of poetry, because not only did I not write again, I'm actually writing poetry, so my brain is actually well fired up. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that was like the perfect bit to share with us on faith, and why it is that you're such a powerful one. Um, so I want to I jump into asking Rebecca to read the other poem for us. And what I loved about this poem is that culturally I'm very diverse. I come from mixed backgrounds. Portuguese, Scottish, Indian, Chinese, Cantonese, like, and my husband's Mexican. So there's a lot going on culturally. And so when I read this poem, India, I it resonated for me because I have a lot of friends from India, and so a lot of the culture was shared with me. Not that I've ever been there, but so much of what you shared um, bordered on the beauty of the country, but as well as the adversity in the country, um, and the heart of the people in spite of what they face every day. Um, and so it's a very different one than the leadership one, but that's why I asked if you would read that to us. So I do hope everyone in the audience is enjoying the conversation and enjoying the poetry. Please use the site at the bottom of the screen to get a copy of the book. And if you're having any trouble with LinkedIn, because I know a lot of people seem to be popping on and off, you can certainly visit our YouTube. The links in the bottom there as well. And don't forget to subscribe. All right, so Rebecca, whenever you're ready, please read India for us.
Sure. Land of vibrant mystery and a colorful living history. Slow moving cows and sacred vows. Fabrics rich with brilliancy, a people filled with resiliency. The cities fill with hustle and bustle, while the vast countryside faintly hears a rustle. Bengal tigers prowl and growl, while mischievous monkeys howl. The Himalayas rise to their majestic peaks, while thrill seeking hikers scale for weeks. The plains of Hydra burn with heat, while hungry villagers search for meat. The sacred Ganges starts in high elevation, bringing life and refreshing to the nation. The Taj Mahal radiates with royalty, speaking of a prince's passionate loyalty. The fields grow with delicious rice, selling in the US for a high price. The people of India make her great, opening wide their friendship gate, a place some wish to flee and others long to see. Come and encounter her living history while seeking to understand her mystery.
I enjoyed that so much. There was so much, there's different types of poetic prose, right? And they don't always rhyme. Yes, yours rhyme, which keeps it in the feeling of poetry for me, at least the one that's identify with most. But you packed so much in there that every line almost had its own message or meaning, or cause you to conjure something visually, right? um, and then there are some pictures in this book, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks like, is that you in India?
Yes, yes. I went for several years. Yes. The first time I went was before I met my husband. I worked in the homes that Mother Teresa started. Mm-hmm.
Okay, back up. What, you were to the whole, but oh my goodness. Okay, I can't. We need to chat again. um Her prayer, her poem, her whatever, that's one of my favorite. And yeah, we'll talk about that another day. But so I mean, you went to India and you wrote this beautiful poem, and so where else have you traveled? Because it seems that you have moved around.
Yeah, I've been to, of course, Jamaica. I went to Venezuela and went on a mission trip there. I've been to Haiti, and then just traveling to different other countries for fun with my husband. The cruise bug bit us many years ago before he got sick. So thankfully, we went on like 15 cruises to all kinds of places. So I'm really glad that we did that when we did that. And so yeah, been to many places around the world.
Thanks so much for sharing. I mean, I can't believe we said we were going to do 45 minutes today, and we are here at the 45-minute mark. So again, I want to thank the audience for being here, for being so engaging in the comments, for offering the support. And I could tell from the comments people enjoy the poetry that you were sharing. Um, I would like to ask you one last question, and this is something that I asked her if it would be okay for me to ask her. Given a couple of shows ago, we had a conversation on publishing and the way you go about publishing and things like that. And so, Rebecca, how did you publish? Were you self-published, hybrid? Did you do traditional publishing?
I did a hybrid model because basically, again, I knew nothing about this. So I actually started talking to some of my security colleagues who had written a book. And so I started asking them, how did they publish? And then I would reach out to the people they talked to. So actually, as a good leader, I actually interviewed several. I set up appointments with publishing companies and literary coaches, and I interviewed several different publishing houses, several different literary coaches to find out what the skinny was. And there was the person that I hired as my literary coach to really take all my poems and like help me map it out into a book. Like I had it in my head, but she helped me. She really was awesome because she gave me an honest answer on how the industry worked, because she had worked for Ingram for over 15 years, and then she decided to go out and to start her own company. So after that, I basically selected what would work best for my budget, which was nothing. And yeah, and thankfully the people that I worked with, they've been really helpful and flexible with me, because really it was halfway through the process to be published when my husband got really sick.
Mm.
And so yeah, thank God for them, and thank God that they worked for me. I mean, I remember that my publishing day was on December 3rd, and I wanted to be on the beach on December 4th because that's my birthday. And so I
Mm.
got up at like 4:30 in the morning to go to the beach and be there at sunrise. And meanwhile, I'm leaving my husband in the hotel room, and that's when he had was sick, and I had left a bunch of stuff out for him, and I could only be gone for like 3 hours or four at the most. And I remember doing a video with my cell phone. Hey, it's publishing day with my husband in the hotel, and taking a 3 hour break from caregiver. And so yeah, it's interesting how that all came together. So I'm very grateful.
Thank
I
you for
met those
sharing that.
people, and they've been super flexible with me along the process.
I thank you for sharing that. I've heard too many horror stories, and I need to hear the good stories. And do you remember the name of the publisher?
Yeah, it's a Christian publishing house. So they publish several different types of books. It's so Carpenter's Son Publishing
Carpenter
is
Son
who did
Publisher.
it.
Okay, would
hmm
I be able to ask you a huge favor? And would
Sure.
you drop the link to their contact in the comments of this show? Um,
Yeah.
and you don't have to do it right now. So it's one of the things I talk about when we talk about publishing options, and it's something that I tell anyone that I meet that's interested in publishing a book with me to go and speak to other publishers. It is very
Yes.
important that you get the person that not just aligns with you and they're nice and everything else. So I'm a nice girl, I get it. But genre wise, marketing wise, network wise, their reach wise, it's nothing personal. Remember, you want to be able to put out the best possible product out there. This product is your life's work. So I want to thank Rebecca for sharing that with us.
hmm
Any parting words for us? I hope you enjoyed your time here. And wow, I don't even want to say any parting words because there's so much that you went through today. So if you can offer one bit of New Day inspiration for everybody to walk away with and have tomorrow morning when they wake up, what would that be?
Just a couple lines of a poem that's sort of in the book, but in modification. So, smile, smile, you can go the extra mile. There you go. I don't care what you're
Gee.
going through. If I can go the extra mile, you can go the extra mile. You're stronger than you think.
Oh, goodness. Simple. I love it. Impactful. I am going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm going to remind myself of that, even though it felt like it was 9 degrees in New York today. Rebecca, I can't thank you enough for being on. Perhaps we will have you on the next time around when you do the next book. I understand that there may be other books coming, and I very much look forward to following your journey as an author. Getting Brilliant Writers is here to support you in any way that we can, and I'm going to bring you
Thank you.
backstage, and I'll be right there. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Oh, goodness gracious. Biggest thank you. We went very fast. We packed so much into that. Um, what a great show. And I'm going to make sure that I actually share some snippets from this. I think there was a lot that was shared here that would benefit not just everyone that was here today, but so many other people out there as well. If you would like to be a guest on The Person Behind the Pen, reach out. We can have a chat. We can see if this is a suitable platform for you to share your book on. And in the meantime, smile, smile, because let's let's go the extra mile. Oh no, I don't want to mess that up. But I'm just saying, yes, you can go the extra mile and reach out. I'm always here to help in any possible way. Have a wonderful day, everyone.